It's time for your weekly fix of wrestling nostalgia when we look at wrestling's past eras, from the Attitude Era to the Reality Era.
I'd like to think that maybe this company will be better after Vince McMahon's dead, but the fact is, it's going to get taken over by his idiotic daughter and his doofus son-in-law and the rest of his stupid family.
To today, here on the WWE Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. This is the one and only WWE Podcast. Unofficially, of course. Got to worry about the legal stuff. We are not affiliated with WWE, but that's what's great about us. We do not affiliate ourselves with WWE. We have zero connection or tie to WWE itself, and that's what makes it great. Why, you ask? We can say whatever we want. We are not state-run radio like After the Bell with Corey Graves, who does a great job. But I mean, it's really hard to take a podcast serious with wrestlers that you're interviewing when everyone that's talking is employed by the company that you're using as a platform for your show. So that's not what this show is. This show is a fan show. It's a fan-friendly show. It is a podcast by a fan for fans. It's not a podcast driven by state-run radio. So this is a show that you can come to whenever you're feeling down, whenever you are maybe frustrated with the product or frustrated with whatever's going on. This is a show that you can rely on to always be there. We will continue to be here regardless of whatever insanity goes on in the world. This show will continue as long as I have an internet connection. And by God, as Jim Moss would say, if that goes out, if my internet connection dies, well then maybe I'll just record from my phone. And if the cell towers die, then we have a problem. But in those two very unlikely events, this show will continue to be here, regardless of what happens in the world around you. This is a show that is passionate about wrestling. It's not your typical big wig pro wrestling type of podcast. We all know who those are, and they do great jobs, but this is not what we are. We don't try to pretend to be one of those. We call things like we see them. We're easy to listen to, at least I think so. We don't dive so deep that you get lost in the rabbit hole and you lose interest in the topic. We try to keep things relevant. As scatterbrained as my brain may be, and it is at times, and I know it comes across on this show, we try to keep things easy, straightforward, fun to listen to. So hopefully that's what this is. Hopefully it is. And Lord knows we need it today, right? Lord knows that we need some type of distraction from the monotony that will be our new norm for the foreseeable future. Many of us have now been directed to work from home, so we are just sheltered, hunkered down in our homes, and we feel like the storm's coming, right? It feels as if we're just waiting for something to happen, but in reality, it's an invisible force that we're at war with. It's a very weird feeling. I described this at length a little bit yesterday, so I won't repeat myself, but it's not getting any less weird. And I know that we're only on day, well, since I've been home from work, this is only my second day that I've actually been just told to stay home. And I know that some of the projections out there are scary in terms of number of people that can get infected and how long this could go. I actually saw a projection today that said that one of the White House officials was looking at a projection that could run this out for another 18 months. Yeah, I didn't stutter. I'm not trying. This is not doom and gloom, and I don't believe it'll last that long. I think, to be totally honest, I mean, I've listened to some other shows that obviously not wrestling related that are very credible, very big name podcasts, and they have had top doctors, top White House advisors as guests on their shows, and they believe that it actually will probably peak sometime in early May, and we could be back to somewhat normalcy by late May, early June. And even there, that seems like a long freaking way away, doesn't it? I mean, that's 3 months away. That's a quarter of a year. And boy, it's going to be, just think about this though. I mean, as much insanity as this is, and this is a once in a generation event, It really is. This is a once-in-a-generation event. That how awesome is it going to be when things return to normal? How awesome is it going to see baseball on TV at the same time the NBA finals are going on, the same time the NHL finals are going on, and football is just around the corner. For those sports fans out there, you could have like 4 major sports colliding at once. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So try to think about that. Nobody truly knows the real timeline. Nobody's ever been through this before. So anything you hear is just conjecture. From the doom and gloom of 18 months to some people think it's going to be gone in 2 weeks. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So the fact is it will eventually be gone. And it will be contained, and we'll go back to our daily lives. And that's what we need to focus on, because it will come back. Our lives will come back. Sports will all come back, and a tidal wave of sports will come back. WWE, most importantly, WWE events with live audiences will come back. And I think I speak for every fan that has watched the empty arena events, including AEW, which is broadcasting Dynamite right now with no fans in attendance, that we can't wait for fans to come back in the building. And I'm sure both AEW and WWE feel the same about the fans. So it's kind of in a way, kind of a backwards way, but a way to make the fans appreciate WWE and AEW, and AEW and WWE to appreciate the fans more. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, whether it's a one-on-one relationship or in a mass example like this, where millions of fans miss WWE and WWE misses the fans. I think this could actually help in the long run to really bring the fans and WWE closer together, and AEW. And I mean that in a way that is appreciative, in a way that makes you feel like you don't take anything for granted, because everything's been turned so upside down and inside out. In the blink of an eye, everything is shut down. Restaurants, bars, bowling alleys, shopping malls. You're not working at work anymore. There's not many cars on the road. Everything you turn on is in relation to the virus. So it's just become insane. So this is as I said yesterday, hopefully your escape, hopefully your way to get away. And let's talk about some wrestling nostalgia. How about that? Let's not drone on, because as I talk about it, then it's not really an escape, is it? So I'm kind of backpedaling, but I guess I just talk about it because it's a little bit therapeutic for me and selfish. I know that. But it's also, I think, good for people to hear about what they're thinking about up front, and then get to something that is an escape from that. Because it addresses what your mind is most concerned about, and I would say 99% of Americans right now, that's the first thing on their minds. And then you get right into, oh yeah, that's right, there's a world outside of this coronavirus news feed, this endless news cycle. And let me tell you, the numbers are scary. Yeah, they're scary. Certainly. Even in the United States, it's starting to grow pretty quick. So let's get into wrestling nostalgia, because that's what we're here for. And today, we've got a personally, one of my favorite moments. And while I know many may not view this as one of their favorite moments, especially in terms of match quality, I don't know anybody that would put this on their top 20, top 30, top 40, even a top 50 list of their favorite matches. So you're probably thinking, well, why the hell did you include this? Why did you make this an episode then? Well, a couple reasons. Number one, I was in live attendance. That certainly helps. And back in 2000, on March 20th, October 20th, 2000, which is when this took place, I was a huge Stone Cold fan, as many people were. Stone Cold was still riding high. It was still in the heart of the Attitude Era. Things were rocking in WWE. Stone Cold had been out for 8 months with neck surgery, and we got to see Stone Cold return. So that's point two, is that it was the return of Stone Cold in a match, his first, I guess, quote, match back against Rikishi, who was revealed to be the assailant. If you all remember, it was Rikishi saying famously, "I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people." And I remember The Rock actually mocking Rikishi for saying that. So we'll get to some audio too on that, and I'll pull up that statement and when it was revealed that Rikishi was the assailant, and then we'll get to the some of the audio from the match. So yes, I was in live attendance. Number one. Number two, it was Stone Cold's return after 8 months of in an official capacity anyway, and I guess an official match. And being in October of 2000, my God, I was how old was I? 15. Good Lord. Every time I do these nostalgias, I just think back to 2000. What was I doing? Well, we all survived Y2K. That was a thing. Remember that? And being 15 years old, I was a sophomore in high school. And 15 years old, I think I had a girlfriend at the time, or I'll leave out names, but being a sophomore in high school, being a wrestling fan at that time was actually somewhat socially acceptable because you're still in the Attitude Era when wrestling and ratings were cool or ratings were high and wrestling was deemed still cool. It wasn't how it's viewed today, but still in high school, you have people who still look at this stuff, it's fake stuff, right? I mean, it's high school. I mean, everything's magnified in high school. Everything you do, everything you say, everything you watch is magnified and dissected. But wrestling, I mean, when you find friends that have wrestling and they love it too, you just instantly bond. And I found a couple of friends that did that. And so when you find those people, it's fun to discuss it and see what's going to happen. I remember bringing VHS tapes in and giving them to one of my buddies who didn't have cable. So I would record Raw on a VHS. And if those of you who are listening to this don't know what a VHS is, Google it. You're probably going to look at it and go, huh? What's this? What's that big tape thing? Yeah, well, that's what I did. And I'd even try to cut out the commercials for him if I was, feeling up to it on the USA Network. And, I'd give it to him Tuesday morning. So anyway, that's kind of a flash into my 15-year-old when, oh, by the way, I think I had in sophomore year. Remember when guys were dyeing their hair tips blonde? Like they would spike their hair and they would also have blonde tips. Yeah, that was me. I was one of those guys when it was cool. I don't know if NSYNC brought it in. I don't know where it actually originated. It was just one of those fads that was in for a while, and I joined the bandwagon, and that was actually back when I had hair. I didn't have to shave it, so I didn't, trust me guys, if I didn't shave my head now, it would look ridiculous. It would look like I have a bowl on my head. I mean, like, it would be terrible. So, I just remember doing that back when I had a full, thick head of hair. I had a ton of hair. And so I put blonde tips on my hair, and it was just ridiculous. I remember paying like $60-$70 for it, something stupid. And so that was really my life at 15. And that wrestling, PlayStation 2, SOCOM 2, remember that game, SOCOM 2? God, I love that. WWE, well, no, sorry. It was still WWF. WWF SmackDown Know Your Role, eventually Shut Your Mouth. And then it went to I went to Here Comes the Pain, which was deemed one of the best of all time. And then it went to the SmackDown versus Raw series. So I remember all of that very vividly. And so that's just kind of setting the table for my own personal, where was I? On top of that, getting to this match with Rikishi, the day that I went to No Mercy, I actually started at a food chain up here called Hannaford. And I ended up staying there for almost 8 years. That was the very first day I started there, my big boy job, making $5.75 an hour. I said that right. $5.75 an hour was the minimum wage. I can't even, that's not even like worth someone paying me that amount of money to do whatever I want to do, like sit on a beach for $5.75 an hour. I mean, that's just pitiful. Let me do the math on that, right? Like, if I was going to work, and I actually did not work 40 hours. I mean, let's be honest. Like I told you guys before, if I got more than 20 hours, 25 hours a week, I was pissed. People are like, oh, I want hours. I'm like, why? Right? It was just something I had to do because my parents told me I needed to get a job. So let's say 40 hours times 575, and you're all like, oh my God, get to the wrestling. And I will, but I'm just going through things in my head. $230 a week if I worked 40 hours. And that's not with taxes. With taxes, you're probably looking at like 170, 180, right? $180 a week. That's just downright, I mean, that's like poor town, right? That is seriously, I mean, I don't, it's just crazy. $5.75 an hour. And I was probably working 20 hours. So cut that in half. And that's how much I was making a week. So that's just where my life was at 15 years old. Still kind of nervous around girls, all that kind of stuff. And maybe I'll share some more personal stuff on a different feed other than this. I mean, I would love to get into other things at 15, but that's not what the show's about. The show's about the wrestling nostalgia with Stone Cold versus Rikishi. And again, I attended this in person at the then, I think it was still the Pepsi Arena. Originally, it went from the Knickerbocker Arena to the Pepsi Arena to the now Times Union Center in downtown Albany. And if you call it Albany, I know immediately you're not from here. I don't know how. I mean, I just don't. Some people, even from inside New York, who don't live near Albany, call it Albany. I don't know. It's Albany, right? So it's right in the heart of downtown Albany, and they've renovated now. It's a very nice facility now. They've really done a good job and invested a lot of money into it. And so I remember it back when it was the Pepsi Arena, and I actually won these tickets at the Great Escape, which was affiliated under Six Flags at the time up in Lake George, New York, in a contest with my brother. For these tickets in front of a couple hundred people. And there was a local radio station here, Fly 92, that was offering these tickets to anybody who could compete in this contest and get the biggest crowd reaction to win the tickets to the pay-per-view. That's how I ended up getting these, because otherwise they probably would have cost me like, over $100 a piece. So having won these tickets, I, kind of won over my parents to go because it was basically a free ride. I mean, what are they going to say against that other than just transportation at 15 years old? So and when you may ask, what did you do to win the tickets? Well, my brother and I was able to do the worm. I still do the worm. At 35 years old, I still, especially when I get a few drinks in me at a wedding, more than a few drinks, I'll do it. It's something your body never forgets how to do. So on top of the worm, I mean, we kind of imitated Too Cool with Scotty 2 Hotty and Grandmaster Sexay with Rikishi. We kind of imitated what they did. In addition, we hit a couple of stunners. And back in 2000, hitting a stunner, everyone knew what it was. Everybody knew what the stunner was, so that kind of got the crowd popped pretty good. And we ended up winning the tickets. And I think what really did it was giving my brother the stink face on stage. I had my pants on, but it was still very uncomfortable. So how about that for a small personal story? That I won the tickets here. So we get to the Pepsi Arena. And I remember being jacked for this because huge Stone Cold fan, and still am. And it was an electric environment. People all night were just waiting and waiting and waiting for Stone Cold. I mean, I remember the energy in the building. And I had been to a couple of Raws at the Pepsi Arena, before this pay-per-view actually came through. And I think actually the last pay-per-view at Albany was the New Year's Revolution 2006. So it's been 14 years since there's been a WWE pay-per-view in Albany. But hey, I know it doesn't come around too often. So anyway, I get to the arena and I don't even remember who I brought. It might have been my brother. It might have been, I would think, that'd be the price you pay for a stink face. But he wasn't a big wrestling fan. Didn't like wrestling. Other than like the occasional, it was just kind of fun to see people get stunned, but didn't really watch anything outside of the biggest of big moments, right? But we get to the arena, again, people chanting Austin all night, waiting and waiting. We knew what the story was. And before I get to the match itself, though, I want to give you the card so I can give you the platform of and the idea of who else was on this pay-per-view. So the first match of the card was Dudley Boys, and they eliminated Right to Censor in a Dudley Boys Invitational Tables match. The APA and Lita versus TNA Albert and Test. And Trish Stratus ended in a no contest. It was a mixed tag team match. In a steel cage match, Chris Jericho defeated X-Pac by escaping the cage. Right to Censor defeated Billy Gunn and Chyna. And then on 5th, we had Rikishi and Stone Cold in a no-holds-barred match. Really surprised it didn't end the show, but I guess the championship match was definitely a reason to make that the last match. William Regal defeated Naked Midian. Los Conquistadors defeated the Hardy Boys. Triple H defeated Chris Benoit. And then for the final match of the night, the 9th match, Kurt Angle with Stephanie McMahon defeated The Rock in a no DQ match for the WWF Championship. And a quick note on that. I do remember that match actually pretty damn well. And the reason I remember it is because that was, I believe, the first time, or maybe the second time, that The Rock gave Stephanie a rock bottom. It might have been the first time that The Rock, because The Rock, she cost him the championship. She slapped him, and then The Rock gave her a rock bottom, and the crowd absolutely lost their minds, and myself included. So back when, it was actually okay for men to retaliate against women in WWE, I mean, yes, we saw it with Edge and Beth Phoenix, but on a larger scale, we saw it in the Attitude Era. People pop. I mean, it was a roar. I remember that. Obviously, with Kurt Angle winning his first WWF Championship in Albany, that was a huge moment as well. I mean, Kurt Angle has noted several times that, Albany, New York, I mean, he's mentioned it in countless promos about, that he'll always remember this place as being the place that he won his first championship. So it was a big night, and with Stone Cold and Rikishi. Now, as you guys know, I mean, this storyline isn't exactly digging deep into WWF history, but it was one of the biggest stories of the WWE history, the WWE Attitude Era, WWF Attitude Era, I should say. Stone Cold got run over at Survivor Series in '99, and he was backstage. A black car did run him down, and Austin was out with neck surgery for 8 months, and people were waiting and wondering. He didn't come back until September of 2000, and obviously when you come back, you got a built-in storyline of who did this, and many people thought it was Triple H, The Rock, maybe it was Vince himself. There were a long list of people that Austin went through. He went through many people, just stunning people for no reason, pissed off. People want to know who did it. And this is how you do a whodunit, right? This is not the Eric Rowan, Roman Reigns terrible execution of a whodunit back in the summer of 2019. This is how you deliver a whodunit. And yes, people were maybe disappointed that it was Rikishi, and it was probably underwhelming that it was Rikishi rather than Triple H per se. And I would argue, even though Triple H was revealed to be the assailant or assist in giving Rikishi the keys to the car to run him down, which he was revealed to do, I would argue him and Triple H had a better program, even though he wasn't the one that actually drove the vehicle. So in order to set up this match, let me just give you guys a little bit of audio here from Rikishi when we finally find out that he was the assailant.
I did it.
What? Damn it. Look at The Rock.
In case you didn't hear, I admit, I did it. I ran over Austin.
It's a good thing the criminal charges were dropped.
And you ask why?
Damn right.
I didn't do it for me. No, I didn't do it for me. I did it for The Rock.
What? Yeah. Did it for The Rock.
You see, Rock, I took your keys out of your bag that night when I went to go check into the hotel. And when I jumped into the car, I saw Stone Cold Steve Austin standing in the middle of the parking lot all alone. And suddenly, everything flashed right through my eyes.
This is surreal, JR.
You see, the WWF has always been all about the Great White Hope.
What? Great White Hope? What do you mean by that?
And I'm talking about such people as Buddy Rogers, people like Bruno Sammartino, people like Bob Backlund, people like Hulk Hogan, and now people like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You see, the WWF has always let the Island Boys in, but we were always held back.
Held back? What's he mean?
Now listen to me, Rock. And I really want you to listen to me. And I'm talking about people like your grandfather, a well-respected man, High Chief Peter Maivia, could have became a WWF champion, but no, they held him back.
Wow. So I'll stop it there. I don't want to make too long of a clip here, but I had forgotten until I listened to that just now. Number one, that Triple H didn't get the keys, as Rikishi said. I have it in my mind, but Triple H he took part in that assistance of running over Austin in some way, because it led to a No Way Out 2001 match with Triple H in his 3 Stages of Hell, which I believe I did a Wrestling Nostalgia on last year, but it's one of my favorite programs of all time, and maybe I'll do a second review on that. One of the best programs I've ever seen in wrestling. The way they built it, the tension, they couldn't touch each other. Triple H was threatened with a 6-month suspension. Austin was threatened with never getting a shot at the championship again. Austin stunned Stephanie, then Triple H broke JR's arm. I mean, it was brilliantly laid out, and I loved the actual blow off of the match. But again, maybe I'll do another program separately on that. But listening to Rikishi, I never really took into consideration or thought about the racial part of this, the racially charged reason why Rikishi did what he did. I mean, I know that he said he did it for The Rock, but because they're cousins or whatever, right? I mean, he did it for The Rock, and that's all I remember. I don't remember hearing that, or if I did, it wasn't something that I it didn't stick with me. I didn't hang on to that. I just hung on to, I want to see Austin beat the holy hell out of this guy. That's what I hung on to. So hearing that now, hearing that at 35 years old, it's a little more striking from a couple of different perspectives. Number one, that they actually would put that on air, because the problem is there's a little bit of truth to that in WWE. And maybe they were okay with that. But WWE, as a whole, has had a problem with color. And I don't mean that from a outward, transparent, very vocal type of way, but kind of a subdued, subtle, behind-the-scenes way. You know, and with Rock being a WWF champion as a person of color, the first black champion or whatever, you know, with Rikishi saying he did that to protect The Rock because basically you're one of my boys. It's not the Great White Hope, as Rikishi framed it. I don't remember that phrase. I don't remember that. Do you guys remember that? Just imagine something like that in 2020. It would blow people up. People's heads would explode. So again, hearing this right now, I mean, I don't remember that. The Great White Hope. Wow. Wow. And like I said, the thing is, though, that it's not like this is based in no fact. And, to date, Vince McMahon has not done a great job dealing with minorities. He just hasn't. And do I think Vince McMahon is racist? No, right? I don't believe he's racist. But I just think there's a history of WWE, for one reason or another, and I'm not involved in the company, and I'm not accusing them of anything, but it just doesn't look good from the outside. The way that he has portrayed certain minorities. Look at the Mexicools. You remember the Mexicools coming out on John Deere? The John Deere mowers? I remember that. I remember Crime Time. Remember Crime Time? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, there's examples of Vince McMahon not presenting minorities in a very favorable light and playing on stereotypes. So, this is a bit startling that this was actually based in race and to protect The Rock as a minority champion. So, getting into more to the meat of the match. So, he admits that he did it. I was a bit surprised. I was a bit disappointed because I was like, oh, Rikishi. He's kind of a mid-card guy. He's fun. He's got Too Cool. He's got Grandmaster Sexay and Scotty Too Hotty. Fun guy, mid-card, but really main event? I mean, it pushed him to the next level, and I'm all for making the new stars, but it was just, at that time, you're used to a certain subset of guys that are supposed to be at the top, and it was a little bit striking. But I was willing to give it a chance. And so it built up to this match with Austin coming out. And, well, let's just take a listen. So we'll pause it right there. Austin comes out in a fist of fury, drives his truck into the arena, and just starts beating the holy hell out of Rikishi. Great energy to start it, having him come out with the truck that already had the sledgehammer holes in it, I believe from SmackDown when Rikishi attacked his truck with a sledgehammer. It was a good way to start. The crowd obviously loved it. I mean, being in the arena, it's so much louder sometimes than when it comes out at home. Or when, as I'm listening to it back, I remember it being so much louder, and it just told you how over Stone Cold was. I know that I do a lot of nostalgia with Austin, but Austin is and was the hottest burning star of all time, hotter than Hogan. I mean, Hogan certainly burned longer. I've made this statement before. Hogan burned longer. The Rock burned longer. John Cena burned longer. Hell, Brock Lesnar still's burning. But nobody's burned hotter than Stone Cold. So, Austin didn't have the longevity, but he had the intensity. It was the biggest tidal wave of all time, but it didn't last as long as some others. So, I hope that makes sense to some of you guys out there. But so, again, being in attendance, and for the majority of this match, I remember that they stayed on the outside of the ring. This match only lasted 9 minutes in a no contest, and we'll get to some more audio in a minute too. But this was, I enjoyed the match from this perspective. It was Austin's first match back, and That was cool to see. Drove the truck in the arena. We've seen that before, but it's still cool to see. And then he comes out and you want to see Rikishi, literally die in front of your eyes. You just do, because you're so angry at Rikishi. And Austin uses his truck as a weapon. But as I said, this match, well, let's continue to listen to how this match evolved. And I'll give you a little bit of disappointment in this match. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. I know that I made this I'm doing a whole damn wrestling nostalgia on it, and this is probably why most people wouldn't put it in their top 10, because of the, just kind of senseless brutality of it, and not a whole lot of wrestling moves, as you would say. So I don't think this would stand up today, but take a listen to a little bit more of the match here.
Whatever it is, and choking Rikishi with it. He'd like to choke the life right out, but you know what? It's all perfectly legal. Anything goes, no holds barred. Everything in this match is legal. No holds barred is right. Oh, straight right hand by Austin, knocking a 423-pounder over the rail. Don't let him get away. Bring him back, Stone Cold. Their feet firmly planted on concrete. It looks like Rikishi is trying to get away from the rattlesnake. Oh, he'd love to be anywhere except this Pepsi Arena right now, I can assure you that. Rikishi exchanging right hands. Oh, he's going to try to go up the top. Pound him. Oh, Rikishi threw something, soft drink or something in Austin's face. And a hard right hand by Rikishi. Maybe it was beer. A man that ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin about 11 months ago. It couldn't have been beer. It would have been beer. That's like spinach to Popeye. Get up, Stone Cold. Stone Cold knocked to the concrete. Oh.
So they continue to fight through the crowd, and Austin ends up choking him, and just, honestly, it was a pretty lopsided match. For a guy that you're trying to build as the next star, it was a fairly lopsided match. For Austin, and to some respect it should be, because this is your returning biggest star in the company, and you want to make it a huge impact. You want Austin to come back with a fist of fire. So let's take a little bit more audio, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Austin's right back out. That comes with a thunderous clothesline. Stone Cold now has got that rope. We still have not. I don't know if this match is even officially started. Well, I never heard a bell. I did hear a horn, I think, when Austin turned that corner coming into the arena in that truck. Austin trying to choke the life out of Rikishi. Gonna hang him. And there's nothing the referee or anybody else can do about it. It's no holds barred. According to our commissioner, Mick Foley. Oh, look at this. Now Austin choking Rikishi, trying to choke every bit of the life out of this 400-plus pounder. Watch yourself, JR. Watch yourself. Look at it. Oh, Rikishi's head bouncing off our table. Oh, we're in a dangerous spot here.
All right, so I'm going to pause it there, too. It was just continuing to use objects outside the ring. Austin using a bull rope to basically try to choke out Rikishi. Man, just think about that. Daniel Bryan gets fired for using Justin Roberts' tie to choke him when he was part of the Nexus during their debut in 2011. And, Austin basically was trying to hang Rikishi, and, no one bats an eye. Same with The Undertaker hanging Big Boss Man off of Hell in a Cell. I don't know if it was WrestleMania 16. Don't quote me. But it was... I remember that visual, literally hanging Boss Man, no joke. So it's just amazing how things change. But so Austin continues to beat the holy hell out of Rikishi, and we move this thing a little bit into another level of brutality. But the only thing I didn't like about this match, I guess, obviously from an in-ring perspective, there wasn't any in-ring. That's the problem I had. You come to see, I came to see Stone Cold, and really, for that, right, The Rock. The Rock, and obviously we got a rock bottom on Stephanie. I loved that. But the thing is, we didn't get a whole lot of actual in-ring. I know it's supposed to be a street fight. The other thing is, on the outside, well, if you're fighting on the outside, it doesn't give the viewers in the arena a great perspective. You want the action in the ring for the most part. And they, Austin outside of stepping in the ring a couple of times, we didn't get that. And we also didn't get the biggest move that I wanted to see, the stunner. Austin didn't even hit the stunner on Rikishi. That's a damn crime. Basically, he bludgeoned him half to death, but didn't hit the stunner. That's the one sticking point to me outside of anything. The biggest point to me that if I was going to rag on this match, that it is, it's not a technical match by any means, nor was it meant to be. But he didn't hit the stunner? Really? How do you not do that? He could have just hit the stunner and then continued to beat him down and say, this is not what the victory is about for me. The victory is for me to send you to the hospital. So I just don't understand why he couldn't do the stunner and at least make the crowd explode. And he didn't. I still am peeved to it to this day, because seeing stunners are just a thing of beauty. So this match continues. And, let's take a listen to the conclusion of the match, if there's really a conclusion, because, as you know, this match ended in a no contest. So, let's continue and hear what happens.
Rikishi's in the back of that truck like roadkill. I think he's going anywhere he wants right now, JR. He's not driving that truck, he's aiming it. Now what? Rikishi completely out of it from those several tear shots. Rikishi bleeding like a stuck hog. Oh, wait a minute, JR. You gotta run him into the... Look at Rikishi. His face a crimson mask. Another kick right to the heart. Rikishi is helpless. What's Austin doing? Oh, no, come on. This is too much. Oh, no, wait a minute, Steve. JR, you better... Steve, think about this. Don't do something you'll regret for the rest of your life. My God, Rikishi's going to be roadkill. God, Austin just ran into that police car. The cops! Austin was going to run down Rikishi, but he ran into that police car. What's he doing? What is up? My rattlesnakers! My God, look at the cops! Look at the cops! Oh my God, they called out the whole Albany police force! Austin surrounded by the police! Austin wanted to run down Rikishi, but he ran into that police car. He didn't run into the police car intentionally, did he? I don't think so, but he was going to.
So Austin gets handcuffed as he tried to literally commit murder, homicide, and squish Rikishi, who's leaning against a pile of rocks with his truck. And the Albany police force ended up intercepting him, and Austin sideswipes the vehicle. And then you have JR questioning, I don't know if he meant to actually hit him on purpose, although if you were watching it, you may have said that the first try was accidental, obviously with the interception of the police vehicle, but then he backs up and hits the police vehicle again. So, I mean, that's kind of a silly statement. And you also have, this saying, Mick Foley saying everything's going to be all legal. Well, is it? I mean, if you're saying everything's all legal, I guess you could say, well, manslaughter is not. I mean, let's, be reasonable about what's legal. So, but nonetheless, I remember being very pissed at the Albany PD. I was not happy with the Albany PD for many weeks because of what they did with Stone Cold, really taking him out of the equation. And I thought there was still hope he could return and ending up, maybe coming out and getting himself involved somehow again. It just... As an Austin fan, you got trained to always think he's never gone, because we've seen him return so many times in so many different instances, commandeering police vehicles, in other vehicles, Zambonis and cement trucks and everything else, that ambulances that you thought somehow, some way, maybe Stone Cold could show back up, and he didn't, and I was not happy. Again, I picked this because I was in person. It was really the height of the Attitude Era. Austin had just come back from neck surgery, and you wanted to know who beat up Austin or who attacked Austin, and now you want to see Austin get revenge. I guess, as I said, some of the drawbacks, Austin didn't get a stunner in. The stunner is a huge part of Stone Cold. He didn't hit a stunner at a pay-per-view. Why? I don't know. And then it got cut short with the Albany PD really just surrounding Austin, who apparently were in just lying in wait for somebody to do something heinous, because there was about 12 police cars showing up on scene immediately for Austin after he hit the police car. I mean, they were just right there. But I'm okay with suspending my disbelief. It's totally fine for this segment, because it was well worth seeing this event and seeing it in person on October 22nd. I thought it was October 20th. October 22nd, 2000. So quite a event, quite a moment. And there were many, many others after Austin returned that I think supersede this from a championship perspective, from a career standpoint. I mean, obviously with the NWO coming in a couple of years after this, I think that was significant. I have never done anything with Austin and Scott Hall at WrestleMania 18. Probably because I didn't really, it felt as if Austin was an afterthought at that WrestleMania. Maybe I'll do something on that. And, you know, this is not a moment most people talk about. It's not, but the story was great. The story was great. The backstory was something that you don't see. And, the intensity, of course, was off the page. So, guys, I hope you take a moment to watch this. It's a 9-minute match, and it's brutal, and it is the story that'll keep you coming back. And so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know that sometimes I spend too much time rambling about other things other than the actual match itself. It's just how I operate. That's how my brain works and functions. So to a fault or not, that's kind of what it is. But, for just these few moments, guys, maybe these last 45 minutes, you've been able to forget about the world around you. I know I have. And that's what's important right now, is to stop feeding in on this fear and this hysteria that's going on around us. And, remember the things that we love, and remember the things that we're passionate about. You take some extra time, or take up a hobby, find something new that you like to do, or hell, even start your own podcast. I know I've encouraged a couple people over the last few weeks to do it. It's if anybody wants any kind of advice on it, I'm fine. I'm not going to charge you for advice. I want other people to take this up, but understand one thing with this: if you do, you have to have patience. You have to have patience in this, because if you don't, and you think you're just going to make a bunch of money right off the bat, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly, I've had this podcast for 5 years, whether it was WWE Podcast or another name that I originally started with. I've been podcasting for, actually, it was February of 2014. Hell, 6 years. It took me 6 years to get where I'm at, and I'm now starting to make a decent income. I'm not going to give you exact numbers, but a decent income. I'll say this: I'm making more than I did at my first job at Hannaford. I will say that. It's fun. It's a labor of love. You have to do a lot you have to do a lot and get a little for a long time and be okay with it. And so I encourage anybody to do that. So before we ride off into the sunset, I do have a question that was posed to me via audio, and I encourage you guys over the last few weeks to send in your questions or comments or whatever you want to talk about on the show into me via a voicemail, because everybody has a smartphone. You just create an audio file and send it to me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, and I will get you on the show with your comment, question, suggestion, rant, whatever it may be. So right now we're going to toss it over to Sharon, who has actually sent in to us before. So let's hear what he has to say, and then I'll be back on the other side with my response.
Hey, Matt. So in your last podcast, you talked about Brian Saxton as a heel manager, and I thought that this is a really good idea. There was days that Michael Cole really was a favor to Miz, and I thought he could be a really good heel manager to Miz. And I wanted to hear your thoughts about the whole topic of managers in WWE, and Why do you think that nowadays there isn't a lot of manager? I mean, there is Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, and that's it. And I think that it is something really good. It can improve new wrestlers. Some legends can come back as a manager. Thank you.
Hey, so my response to that would be, I was talking about Byron Saxton in the context of being a heel manager, because I think that that's where his strong suit is. And that's not to say that his commentary hasn't improved. It has improved immensely from where it was when I was completely killing his commentary, and maybe unfairly so, given that he was new to the game of announcing. But he shows you glimpses of how annoying he can be, and the punchability of his face and the way he speaks and just what he can do on the mic. I think he's gotten more in him than just being an announcer. And I don't know what the plans are for him. I don't know what he aspires to be. I would assume that he's pretty comfy in his role on Raw, being the one of the co-hosts or co-announcers of Monday Night Raw, being one of the voices of Monday Night Raw on a weekly basis. And he adds a lot to the show. I really think he does, because he's the voice of reason. He's the babyface announcer. And you have Jerry Lawler always trying to play the heel, and you have Tom Phillips, the robot, trying to just steer the course and Mr. Neutral. So with Byron Saxton as a heel manager, yes, I would totally still stand by my comments that he should. Who he should manage, I haven't really given it much thought. But the broader question that you asked about heel managers, why do I think that there's not a lot of heel managers or managers, even babyface managers? Because it's a lost art. It is something that doesn't happen. And I don't know the good reason why. I don't have the answer why. Yes, you have Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. You have Zelina Vega and Andrade / Angel Garza, right? But Paul Heyman's in a league of his own. It's almost unfair to compare Paul Heyman to anybody. He would say he's an advocate. He's not a manager. He's not a valet. It's all under the same umbrella. You're a manager. So I don't know why. Maybe Byron Saxton and The Miz, as you stated, would be a good pairing. I could see that. I would like that. I would like Byron Saxton to be the loudmouth heel manager. I think he's got a lot of value there. But again, I don't know what the plan is for Byron. And I don't even know if Byron would be interested in that. Because Byron does add value to the commentary desk on a weekly basis. But as a whole, the lost art of managers is a shame, because you can do so much with heel managers, especially if they can take a bump, right? If they're not just if they're a female manager for a male counterpart, then it's harder. If you have a male loudmouth manager for a heel wrestler, then that heel manager can be the loudmouth and occasionally take a bump. And I think it's something that WWE should get back to. I think it's something that you could do to establish new stars, and especially for those that may have trouble on the mic. I mean, they did it with Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley, because Bobby Lashley is just straight out boring on the mic. At least what we've seen in WWE, he's just not great. So we've seen WWE occasionally give this a try, and more often than not, it hasn't worked, other than Zelina and Andrade, which I'm really liking. I've always loved that pairing. But more often than not, at least from what we've seen in their trial runs over the last 5 years or so, it hasn't really worked well. Even when Paul Heyman was remember when he was managing Cesaro? I do. I remember that. And so Brock and Paul Heyman are just peanut butter and jelly together. But yeah, I would love to see it. I want to see that more. I think that is a lost art that needs to be brought back. So thanks for the question, Sharon. I'd love to hear from you again. And it sounds like you were going somewhere. It sounds like you were walking and talking. So hopefully you got to where you're going safely. And of course, stay healthy and all that kind of stuff, and especially in today's crazy environment. So if you want to be part of the show, just as Sharon was, you can send your voicemail to realwwepodcast@gmail.com, and you can get yourself on the show just as he did. And I'd love to hear from more people. So guys, thank you so much as always for joining. You can hit me up on Twitter at the WWE Podcast. And you can also head on over to the website at wwepodcast.com. And you can hear this show 7 times a week, because we've got 2 more shows coming to you tomorrow. I said 2. AEW NXT review with a new NXT host, a brand new NXT host coming your way. I'm very excited to bring him to you. I think you'll enjoy him. He's a familiar face, or voice. I shouldn't say face, because obviously we don't do video here yet. So then on Saturday or Sunday is your weekend review. So we've still got 3 more shows to go, and it's Wednesday. So a big week on the way. We're going to continue to make coverage here. And also, don't forget, WWE made the announcement that WrestleMania is going to be a 2-day event. Ale effing Luya. Because I don't need to see a 6-hour WWE event in front of no one at one time. At least split it up. Plus, it makes it basically WrestleMania weekend, a true WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania Access ain't going to happen. I mean, that's the whole point, is bringing people together. That's gone. So bringing people to, or making it a 2-day event, I think could be a blessing in disguise, because we've always wondered if WWE should do this. So if this is a rousing success, in spite of the fans not being there, maybe this is a formula WWE moves to, is a 2-day event. Maybe, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's a trial run that has been just thrown in their lap that they could use as an opportunity, and I'm all for it. I'm all for a 2-day event, because then even after the first day, you're like, oh, that was great. It doesn't leave you feeling exhausted. It leaves you possibly feeling like you're wanting more and you can't wait for tomorrow to see what tomorrow brings. I think it's a brilliant idea than just a marathon. So I'm all for it. I know some of you have already kind of poo-pooed on it. Give it a chance. I'm all for 2 days of WrestleMania. Regardless, I mean, yeah, the no fans there sucks, and sucks big time. But if they're able to string this in 2 days and throw some kind of creative way to somehow have people sitting in the audience, somehow with keeping in compliance with CDC code and all that, hey, I'm all for it. So, alrighty. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being or listening to the show, because you're why I'm here. Making it a success is because of you. And I'll be back this weekend with your weekend review with my co-host, Mary Grader. And of course, AEW and NXT reviews come to you the next day or so. With all that being said, guys, go do something fun. If it's listening to the show, if it's outside, whatever it may be, get your mind off of the virus if you can. Stop watching the news for a while. It just is a cycle that just doesn't make you feel good. It's changing by the hour. The numbers aren't going to get better. Things aren't going to get better for probably a little while. So just do something else that doesn't rent space in your brain, that just ends up kind of corroding it, right? So, okay. Thank you so much, guys. As always, talk to you next time.